they may have no other choice. After the disappointment of last year, Dylan Larkin calling out his general manager after last year's trade deadline, the Detroit Red Wings are forced into making a big splash at this year's trade deadline. And we also have a new trade target that has emerged for the Red Wings from multiple insiders. And we're going to break down exactly what Steve Yzerman is going to do ahead of this Friday's trade deadline. We're going to break that all down and more in this episode of Red Wings Digest. But before we get into all of that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. We've noticed that still 95% of you guys who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. At the end of the day, it is free to subscribe. If you're over on Facebook, hit that follow button. And we're trying to reach our goal of 5,000 subscribers. Thank you so much to over 2,200 of you who have subscribed over on YouTube already. Your support has been unbelievable, and we're going to keep you up to date with everything that's going on with the Red Wings. But the first order of business today, Mark, is obviously an update after last night's game. Dylan Larkin not on the ice for practice today, which is a little scary. It's a little scary for Red Wings fans right now because of the cross check that he did take and then or took in overtime and then left the game. But we do have multiple other updates from morning skate as well. It's a maintenance day for both him and Kopp, so nothing really to worry about. And we also have some other updates, Mark, on the goaltending situation, some injury timelines. There's a lot going on right now, and that's besides all the trade stuff, which we'll get to in just a few minutes as well.
And I think the big thing is, listen, over the past 48 hours, we've been holding our breath. First, we've seen the John Gibson going out and not practicing. We've seen Cossa called up. That was a bit of a worry. We're going to touch on that very soon. But looking at Dylan Larkin, the fact that, yes, he has a maintenance day, but it's looking like he'll play, this is a huge step. This is a crucial part of the season. When looking at the standings, teams are making the jump. They're pushing up in the standings. Detroit obviously sits third right now in the Atlantic Division, but holding on to this, you do not want to go in and face Tampa or Carolina. Either of these teams in the first round is going to be a nightmare. Holding it against Buffalo, who actually had an annex trade not go through to make their team better, which is a big positive for Detroit, of course. But I think at the end of the day, seeing that we've missed out on these two injury scares, which is huge, you don't want anyone hurt, especially Dylan Larkin or the goaltender that's been holding it down all year. It's nice to see and a sigh of relief, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, definitely. And we also have an update in terms of Dylan Larkin and some roster moves that, yes, Sebastian Cossa will be going back down to Grand Rapids Griffins, and John Gibson ready to go in their next game against the Florida Panthers, which is very exciting. So again, he was just day to day. It was just a stinger. He wasn't able to back up yesterday, but he will go in the game. And Todd McLellan also speaks out and says Dylan Larkin will be ready to play against the Panthers. He's going to be ready to go, which is good. So just a maintenance day. He's probably banged up, bruised, all of that stuff. Just came back from the Olympics. So nothing to worry about in terms of that. But obviously a busy schedule coming up. And this is the cursed month of March. Everybody's talking about it right now for the Red Wings. It is the cursed month. And obviously in just 24 hours, or about 24 hours at the time of this recording, is the trade deadline. And last year, I want to get to some of this now, Dylan Larkin basically called out Steve Yzerman and said, I'm upset that you didn't go out and make any moves. I thought we could have made the playoffs. And this year with where they're at, there's new trade targets being announced. They are apparently very active in the trade market. This article from Max outlines exactly what happened last year as well, Mark. And there's a lot to get to. There's a quote from Dylan Larkin on, what kind of happened last year and how he doesn't want to repeat those mistakes. And he wants his general manager to go out and make a big splash at this year's trade deadline because they're in a playoff spot right now. I kept saying, throughout the course of the last couple of months, the Red Wings need to stay in a divisional playoff spot here, either 2 or 3. If you can get that first spot, that'd be great too, but I think that's Tampa's. But stay in that 2 to 3 spot, because if you fall to a wild card spot, you're in big trouble. And it looks like they're going to try and go out and make a big splash, but to this point, Steve Yzerman hasn't done anything.
And I think the big thing is looking at last year, we're in a position right now going into the rest of the season, just looking at the standings alone. This is a team that's one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference, top in the Atlantic. Of course, the Buffalo Sabres are on a hot streak. We've seen Tampa beat Dominic. Carolina's doing their usual. But I think this is the season where you need to reward the guys. We know Dylan Larkin. We know this fan base really leaned into last year where this was a team that didn't do anything. They didn't back this core, and now with the season they're having, with the pressure put on this market to not only get into the playoffs but make some noise, Darius. We're going to get into a couple of guys that they've been linked to, but I think at the end of the day, and just looking at this team right now, They need to do something at some point. It could be a forward, a defenseman, anything at all. Just pick something up at this year's deadline to improve and benefit these guys moving forward.
Yeah, and I want to get to this before we move on to the trade target, because there's a lot going on right now around the Red Wings. But you can see from last year that, Captain Dylan Larkin lamented that the Red Wings didn't gain any momentum from the trade deadline at all. It was basically a signal from the GM, and whether he meant it this way or not, Steve Yzerman, this is, it was basically a signal to say, we don't believe in you. We're not going to go out and get any trade chips for you here, or any big pieces to bring in, because we don't know. We don't know. But this year, I think you do know that this team is good enough, or can be good enough, that you should go out and bolster it a little bit. You're probably going to end up in the playoffs. Now, the one thing I will say, and feel free to continue, looking at the entire wildcard picture here with, the Red Wings, they're still in a divisional playoff spot. The biggest thing this year is the 5-on-5 play. This team needs to improve their 5-on-5 play. And I don't know if going out and getting one more defenseman or a centerman is going to fix that. That's going to have to come from within as well. So that's another separate issue as well. And, Todd immediately calling out the group yesterday for basically folding it in, right? Folding it in. They were up by multiple goals there. They're up 3-1. You end up losing the game in overtime. That is a horrible way to give up that extra point. Like, even if you lose or win that game in overtime, you still feel okay because you got the 2 points there, right? But they lose. And one thing to feel positive about heading into the trade deadline is the fact that they have also blocked the most shots in the NHL. But Mark, I want your thoughts on this trade target. It's OEL, Oliver Ekman-Larsson from the Toronto Maple Leafs. We know that the market is crazy right now. That whole buyer's market thing, not the case. It is definitely a seller's market with the prices that are being paid. So how do you feel about OEL and that fit for the Red Wings? Because he can play either side. It's not a perfect fit because he's a left shot, but he brings the Stanley Cup pedigree. He brings the physical edge. He can put the puck in the back of the net, and he's been the Leafs' best defenseman all season. So I think this could be a pretty good, affordable as well, pickup for the Red Wings. He only makes 3.5.
And I think the big thing with OEL is, yes, he's going to be a big part of a power play unit moving forward, but I think with this guy's puck moving skills, he can add a lot of value to that 5-on-5. Looking at the numbers this season, you can see his points, goals, assists, everything is in the green percentile. This is a guy that has taken the big step. What we've seen previous years, we've seen him step up, win a Stanley Cup with the Florida Panthers, a big part of the run. Of course, the Leafs in a different realm right now, and they are sellers. But Darius, this is a puck-moving defenseman that could join this team on the left side, on the right side. Like you said, a utility piece that can benefit both sides. 35 points in 61 games with a Leafs team that is struggling this season. Not the most physical guy, but when going back and looking at the blocks, doesn't matter if this is a guy that's going to go on block touch. You already have that within the system. I think offense. This is what this team needs to prioritize. And in my opinion, OEL might be perfect. 5 power play points this season, but that leaves 35-on-5 points, something this team could greatly benefit from.
And I still think that the 5-on-5 play has to improve from within, but he would improve that, I think, in terms of when you're looking at other defensemen we've been talking about, or even at Tyler Myers. I don't know if Tyler Myers, obviously he's gone now, but if you acquired him, changes the 5-on-5 play. But, OEL does block a lot of shots. That lends to the Detroit style of play as well. He throws the hits. Like I said, it's the physicality. He could score goals. It could be a good fit, but you're giving up a lot of assets here. Like, they're going to be looking for at least a first-round pick and probably a prospect as well if they're giving up OEL at this stage. And he still has some term left on his contract as well. So keep that in mind. If you're trading for him, you're getting him for multiple years, which could be a good thing, right? He still has, I think, some really good hockey left. He made the Olympic team, Team Sweden. So could be a very interesting next 24 hours. Let us know how you feel about OEL down in the comments below. Steve Yzerman has a lot of work to do with Dylan Larkin after last year breathing down his neck. Make a trade. Let us know how you feel in the comments below. Would you make a trade? Would you stand pat? Let us know how you feel. And we'll see you tomorrow for another video.